There are a lot of things to think about when you're renovating or building a new home. And one of the things I really think that you should be focusing on from the get-go is your lighting plan. There are lots of lighting options out there and it can feel overwhelming, but I'm gonna share a few simple tricks and rules that if you bear those in mind, you'll have a well-lit space. The first thing to think about is pot lighting. Basically, you're gonna take your room and break it down into a grid. If you Google pot light spacing, you're gonna come across a couple of recommendations. Usually people will say leave 3 to 5 feet between your pot lights or leave 4 to 6 feet between your pot lights. Personally, I find 3 is too close and 6 is too far, so I really try to err on the side of 4 to 5 feet between pot lights. The other thing to bear in mind is spacing away from a wall. You don't want to place your pot light too close up against a wall because you're going to get a ton of shine on the wall and not a lot of light in the room. So a bare minimum set out from the wall would be about 18 inches. I generally try to go about 2 feet. Today we're going to draw something up on a pretty standard dining room layout, but I think you can use these rules and the tips that we discuss in pretty much any other large room in the home. So a master bedroom, a living room, even a family room. So this dining room that we're dealing with is 12 feet by 16.5 feet. So given my goal of 4 to 5 feet between pot lights, we're gonna create a grid that is 3 pot lights by 4 pot lights. So for those of you who are not used to reading plans, we have a dining room, nice table, seating 10, we've centered in the space. We've got a window to the exterior, 2 entrances from other rooms in the house, and then a nice fireplace centered along one wall. So I'm gonna start my grid going across the dining table. So 1 pot light, 2 pot lights, 3 and 4, and then I'm just gonna repeat that. So just a very simple 3 by 4 grid centered on the table and centered in the room. I think if you were happy with this, you're a monster because you want a pendant over your dining room table. So we're gonna make a little adjustment, but we're gonna use the grid that we've established and then go from there. Naturally, we're gonna center it, except a classic chandelier, yes, it's gonna be hanging right down from the middle. But if you've got something long and lean and clean, you probably have 2 cables and one of those is attached to the canopy above. So you're gonna need to check the size of that and the location of the canopy relative to the space of the room. So we have 2 kinds of lighting in the space at this moment in time. We've got our pendant and we've got our pot lights. I'd like to add some art lights in front of the fireplace. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in and take out the 2 pot lights right in front of the fireplace, and I'm gonna put in a couple of delicate little art lights centered on the fireplace. And I'm gonna specify a light that has what we call a gimbal, which means you can angle it. So you're gonna be able to adjust the head on the light and light the piece of art the way that you want to. When in doubt, if you've really invested a lot of money in the piece, I would recommend going back to the gallery where we picked it up and talking with them a little bit about how it should be lit. But if you're just lighting a nice piece that you have, I would recommend a foot away from the wall and roughly 2 feet of space to light one nice substantial, say 3 or 4 foot piece. What we have right now is a really nicely layered lighting scheme. We've got 3 different kinds of light. They're all gonna be on dimmers. Always put your lighting on dimmers. And I think that we've gone beyond a simple lighting plan. This is a room that you're gonna be able to enjoy and be proud of. But let's take it up one more step. So in this case, instead of doing 3 rows across the room, I'm gonna think of my pot lighting as going around the perimeter. We've got 1 that I know will be lined up with my pendant, and then 2 more. And I'm just gonna spread out 2 along each end. And then I'm gonna put 2 along the fireplace wall, either side of the art lights. So I have now gone down to 9 pot lights as opposed to my original 12, but I got lots of other lighting going on. And last but not least, on either side of our beautiful fireplace, I'm gonna recommend a decorative sconce. And that is a beautifully lit room. I hope you've enjoyed our little dive into the world of lighting. If you wanna know more about this topic or about anything else, leave us a comment below.